research is correct. It all adds up. It's like I opened a portal and warped reality. Something.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2021 horror film H.P. Lovecraft's Witch House, a film that is co-written and directed by Bobby Easley, and it stars Patricia Chelian, Julianne Prescott and Andrea Collins. Now, the film apparently is based on the H.P. Lovecraft short story, The Dreams in the Witch House. And apparently it was filmed in a supposedly haunted house as well. And the film focuses on a character called Alice, I believe she's called, who is trying to get away from an abusive relationship. She moves into this building up in the attic. She is essentially a graduate student. And she wants to try and prove the possibility of alternate dimensions. But however, she kind of unwittingly is unaware that the house she's staying in may well hold the key to new dimensions, which kind of leads her down a really dark and dangerous path. Right, what are my thoughts on H.P. Lovecraft's Witch House? Well, this is a low-budget film, and while some of the imagery that we see throughout this film is filmed in quite an imaginary way and quite an effective way at times, there are aspects of this film, for example, when characters are in rooms talking to each other, where the budget really, unfortunately, shows up quite heavily. There's some really poor sound design, some of the voices sound a bit tinny, poorly recorded, that sort of thing. So the production values are a little bit of a letdown here. Some of the performances by some of the not so central characters are patchy at best. That's me being quite polite. But the central performance from the actress playing Alice, I thought, was pretty decent. She kind of does a fairly decent job holding the picture together in regards to her performance anyway. The major problem I had with this film, it's just nonsensical. It doesn't really follow any structure. It's one of those films that you watch it, and the more you watch it, the more confused you get, because it doesn't really feel like there is a story here. It's one of those unfortunate low-budget films where they have overly confused and overly convoluted the plot. There's all this stuff going off, and you just kind of can't focus on the film and what's going on. And then the imagery in the film, there's no getting around it, that some of the imagery in the film is quite freaky and weird and all that kind of stuff, but it just doesn't make any sense. And it's too dark as well. She's having these dreams, and then you're not sure what's reality, what's dreams, and then you've got these people lit in a certain way, and you've got this weird imagery and all this stuff going off, and it's just kind of like, I mean, if you're watching this, and you were high on something, you'd go mental. I think it's just literally all over the place. You just can't make any sense of what's really going on. What's going on here? What's happening? How did this dimension get open? What is all this? What does all this imagery mean? It's almost like you've said to a 6-year-old child, I want you to paint a really brilliant portrait, and then chuck a load of paint at them and let them get on with it. And what you'll get from a 6-year-old is them chucking a load of paint at a picture, and that's it. It'll have no structure. It won't make any sense, and it'll be confused. But there'll still be some people stand back rubbing the chin saying, well, yeah, I like that. But I suspect the only people that will stand back and do that with this film is probably the filmmaker and writer, I'm guessing. Because it just, for me, I found it incredibly frustrating to watch. There's all this stuff going off. There's storylines in the film where it's almost like there's a killer on the loose taking kids, and that didn't seem to go anywhere. She's on the run from this abusive relationship, and again, that didn't really go anywhere other than playing into her fears later on. And the characters are just really poorly written and poorly fleshed out. Even the central character, I do think Portia Chillian did a good job as Alice with what she was given to work with, but she was, really poorly fleshed out in regards to a character that we're supposed to root for in a film. And everybody else in the film was completely and utterly forgettable, really. And the film really lacked an antagonist. Didn't feel like there was any sense of real dread in this film, any sense of foreboding. And it didn't feel Lovecraftian to me. Lovecraftian is for me. If you want to watch something that's inspired by Lovecraft, then you want to watch Colour Out of Space, an Nicolas Cage film. You want to watch The Void, things like that is really inspired by Lovecraft and his work and his vision and all this kind of stuff. This almost feels like it's trying to be Lovecraftian, but it doesn't really understand how to do it. It just, like I say, it's just freaky imagery and odd dreams and all this kind of stuff, and it doesn't so effectively into the story. So what you're left with is just a story that doesn't make any sense. A lot of characters kind of running about doing this, that, and the other that, again, doesn't make any sense. Lots of dream sequences, lots of is this reality, is it not type stuff going off. And for me, weird visuals don't make a film effective. You know what I mean? You can sew your weird visuals in here and there, but you've got to have like a grounded, concrete story to kind of engage your audience, and this doesn't have it, unfortunately. So I have to give this one a 3 out of 10. There's plenty of imagination on display here, but it needed more focus, I think. It needed someone to sit them down and say, right, let's get a strong story going here, and then we'll sew in the imagination side of it after. So yeah, for me this one failed on an awful lot of levels, which is a bit of a shame. So I hope you enjoyed this review. Thank you very much for watching, and of course I'll be back with more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.